Just a couple of days ago, debris from this building littered the parking lot I'm walking in right now. But as you can see, they are already working to repair those damages. The final amendment that affects voting procedures in Florida is Amendment 4, voter approval of constitutional amendments. It is crunch time here in Blountstown, where nonprofit Rooms with a Purpose is getting ready to give 16-year-old Chase Donahue a super room makeover. Amy, it was one of the most anticipated races this season, and this time incumbent and Republican candidate Tony Anderson keeps his seat over the Democratic candidate Carolyn Zonia. Medical debt, often a pay or die situation, hangs over the heads of millions of Americans. Rainfall from Hurricane Sally is coming down here in Okaloosa County this Tuesday afternoon. Officials say the biggest threat from the storm is the potential for historic river flooding. Cousin Cattle Co. is looking to expand the sport in the Panhandle and even host its own rodeo in the near future. In Blountstown, Miabelle Salzano, News 13, Panhandle Strong. Garrett Berry was relaxing on his balcony overlooking Topsail State Reserve on Friday afternoon when he heard what sounded like power tools.
Thought it was maybe someone working in their garage. The next day, that Saturday, heard the same thing again. It's about 5 or 6 o'clock. And this time I got up on my roof, got my binoculars out, and to my surprise, I see a tree topple over.
Astonished, he and neighbor Bill Potter, who volunteers with Topsail and knows the land well, went to investigate the situation.
Once I got into the preserve, I went back in the area that the sound was coming from. And again, it sounded like some kind of electric power tool. The first thing I believe I said was, I asked them, "Are you guys working for Topsail?" And one of them said that he did. I'm sorry, you're working for Alan? What's Alan's last name? I get the feeling you're not working for Topsail.
In an attempt to stall for law enforcement, Potter grabbed the suspect's chainsaw before they fled the scene.
I was angry. I think maybe that comes out. Unfortunately, I was not astounded. It's very disappointing when somebody does something that they know fundamentally is wrong. You can't get in there without crawling over a fence that has state property, no trespassing. So they know that they were in the wrong, and they were just doing something because they felt entitled to do it. And they shouldn't be allowed to do that.
The FWC and the Florida Department of Environmental Protection has confirmed that this was in fact illegal cutting and has opened an investigation. FWC officers ask that anybody with additional information call their hotline at 888-404-3922. In Walton County, Miabelle Salzano, News 13, Panhandle Strong. Florida has seen a record number of firearm sales this year. Shop owners say that it's because of rising anxieties due to the pandemic and upcoming election.
This year sales have been off the charts. It's probably easily quadrupled normal sales. Right now things have slowed down some, but we're still easily double last year's numbers at the same time frame. Right now, it's a lot of the comments I'm hearing are because of the election and unknown as to what will happen after the election as far as gun rights.
Federal data shows firearm background checks this year in Florida have in some cases more than doubled compared with last year, spiking both at the height of the pandemic in March and the start of the nationwide social unrest after the death of George Floyd at the end of May.
The uptick in sales started right before the governor decided that he was going to close the state because of COVID. And it has not slacked up since, and I think it's a lot to do with the COVID and everybody being scared, the riots that are all throughout the state or to the United States.
Newsom also says that uneasiness during an election year is not uncommon.
Every election year that I've noticed since we've been open, which has been the last 3, the gun sales have went up.
But while one resident isn't necessarily using his guns to protect himself during the pandemic, he is using them to pass the time.
COVID's taken away so much of our fun stuff to do. What better way to have a little bit of fun and protect my home at the same time?
To learn more, download the My Panhandle mobile app. In Bay County, Miabelle Salzano, News 13, Panhandle Strong. Mary Millett and her siblings were sheltering in place on April 19th when their father, Joe Tannehill Sr., passed away.
It felt so weird that we couldn't go up and give each other hugs and just try to, cry it out together or talk about the stories. We just had to keep a distance from each other.
Millett said her father, prior to his death, traveled to Indiana with his wife, Ann, to be near his doctors.
We were all, we'll come up and help, but the situation with the pandemic, we couldn't even go up there to help because we just didn't know if any of us were carrying the disease or not.
Over a month later, the Tannehill family is still unable to finalize any funeral service plans.
My dad, his remains are still up in Indiana. They haven't come down yet. And so the church here in town has been supportive. Whenever we can get him here, they would like to have a service.
The Tannehills aren't the only ones whose memorial plans have been affected.
We've had some postponed, and we've had some that we just strictly had it outside because we couldn't have it in a chapel, and the churches couldn't be used.
Millet is looking forward to eventually having a ceremony, not to say goodbye, but to remember her father in celebration. In Bay County, Miabelle Salzano, News 13, Panhandle Strong.